opinion page, which is you say every Sunday this opinion page comes in the newspaper. They love unemployment and inflation. So this is today's topic by P. Chidambaram. So starting with this news, last Sunday the Congress party held a Halla Bol rally against unemployment and inflation. Now it is believed that everyone is hurt by unemployment and inflation. It is believed that everyone is determined to reduce unemployment and inflation. But he said next that I'm sorry that I have to puncture these widely held wrong beliefs. There are some people, some sections of population, and hold your breath, also some government parts that are happy with raging unemployment and also soaring inflation. So he's talking about that everyone is hurt by unemployment and inflation, but there are some sections of population, also some parts of government that are happy with raging unemployment and soaring inflation, and they will do everything that is possible clandestinely to keep the flags of unemployment and inflation high. So this is an interesting news because we have never seen that someone is happy with unemployment and inflation. So he's talking that let's begin with who loves employment. So first is business and government. So looking forward, why business loves unemployment. There's written that business loves unemployment, and why? Because there are so many people chasing for a small number of jobs. So the bargaining power of the job providers is high. You see, this is a normal, you can say, simple business. When more people run for a single position, the power is in the hands of job provider, not the job seeker. So that is why they are very happy with unemployment, and consequently wages are depressed because you see the power is with the job provider. So that is why wages can be depressed and wages increase are paltry. So increase is very less, but wages can be depressed more. So now he's giving example that, for example, agriculture wages increased by less than 3% in fiscal year 2022 despite the inflation rate being higher. So the salaries, the wages of these persons do not increase, but inflation increases. So that is why these people face a lot of difficulties. The average monthly income of an agriculture family in India, it was 10,213 rupees in 2019. This income is hardly sufficient for 4 to 5 members for food, shelter, clothing, education, healthcare and leisure. So you see, this income is very low, 10,213, and many people live in such income. Since the bargaining power of the employed, or you can call even the self-employed, is weak, because you see the power is with the job provider. This power is very weak in terms of employed, you can call even the self-employed families who do agriculture. So that is why the average income of a family only rises very marginally in a period of low growth, or you can call recession. When there is a recession in India, the situation becomes worse for the average family. So this was about business because they love power. They have the power to cut wages, to lower the wages. And the next come is government recruitment bodies and the public sector enterprises. Now why these bodies love employment? So you see why. When there are thousands of applicants, including graduates and postgraduates, for a few hundred lower grade vacancies. So you may have seen a news that came last year that for a job of peon in government, there were applicants that were PhD. So you can see the degree they have is PhD, which is the highest degree. It's a doctorate degree, and they are applying for the job of a poet. So that is why this is the situation of unemployment in our country. And when these persons that are graduates and postgraduates, they apply for a few hundred lower grade vacancies, the appointing authorities acquire enormous power and discretion. So then the power comes in the hands of appointing authorities. Brokers flourish. So these are the result. Brokers flourish. Money changes hands and scams occur. You have seen scams in that primary teacher. You say the vacancy there was, and you have seen a lot of scams that were in all of the states. I have seen the West Bengal one. There was a major scam regarding these filling of vacancies. And next he said that because job seekers exceeds jobs, there is a growing casualization. And next you see, because job seekers exceed job, there is a growing casualization and informalization of jobs in the private, public and government sectors. So what is the result? Second is the informalization of jobs. Private sector, public sector and government sector. Because of this, labor welfare laws are thrown aside. So there are 4 labor laws that you must know. So these the names of these 4 labor codes are: first is Codes on Wages 2019, Industrial Relations Code 2020, third is Code on Social Security 2020, and fourth one is Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. So you can write it down in your that same notes, the name of 4 labor codes. I will read it out one more time. First is Code on Wages 2019. Second, Industrial Relations Code 2020. Third is Code on Social Security. So Code on Social Security 2020. And fourth is Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code. Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020. So these are the 4 labor codes. Now he is talking that these labor welfare laws are thrown aside and trade union movement is also weakened. So because of the power goes on for the job provider, these laws are weakened, the trade union movements are weakened. Crime syndicates love unemployment. So this is the third area which loves unemployment. This is crime syndicates. And why these syndicates of crime love unemployment? Because there is a large catchment area for recruiting runners for drug trafficking, smuggling, illicit liquor trade, illegal betting and gambling, human trafficking and similar illegal activities. So you need people for doing all these illegal things, and those who are in jobs have no time for these things, and those who are not in jobs are not earning. They will seek anything in order to earn money. That is obviously not ethical. But these people who are unemployed are most likely to fall into this deep well of illegal activities. And these illegal activities that are being done are drug trafficking, smuggling, illicit liquor trade, illegal betting, gambling, human trafficking, and other similar activities. Now, who loves inflation? So first was who loves unemployment, next come who loves inflation. So first he has written tax collectors and sellers. Now he's talking that revenue departments and tax collectors love inflation. Month after month, the tax collectors report a new high in the tax collection, for instance, GST collection. So you must know that there is a role of inflation in the increase of GST collections, because more rupee is being, you can say, invested by the people for purchasing the items. So that is why more outcome for the GST. So that is why they never report the inflation adjusted numbers. So I have already told you that there is an inflation factor also when you see that GST collections have increased and all that. They never report it. In August 2022, GST collection was 1,43,612 crore as against 1,12,020 crore in August 2021. So increase of at least 30,000 crore. But adjusted for the average inflation the last 12 months. But all this increase was adjusted. Why? Because there was inflation in the last 12 months. The real value of the GST recipients was only 1,33,559 crore. So you see, if inflation is not taken into account, GST collections have dropped from 1,43,000 to 1,33,000. And because of inflation, you see it increasing. So in the case of ad valorem taxes, even while keeping the tax rates in stent, the tax collector can reap a bonanza. So if you do not take that inflation also into account, then also the tax collector can reap a bonanza. So what does it reap a bonanza mean? So reap, you already know. If you sow a crop, you reap it. So this is what reap means. And what reaps a bonanza means? It means that tax collector can get bonus. He can reap the bonus if the inflation is also kept at instant. Now next come the budget makers. They love inflation. And why? Because the numbers in the budget documents are in the current prices. Allocations are in the current prices. So budget maker can claim that she has allotted more money in the present year than was allotted in the previous year. So that's simple math. For example, you can see if you take 1 rupee for education, just imagine that, it's very less, but just imagine that if you take 1 rupee for inflation, now because of 1 rupee for education, now you can purchase 1 rupee for 1 toffee. Just imagine that 1 rupee for education, you can purchase 1 rupee for 1 toffee. Now comes the next year. Now comes the next year, and now for 1 toffee you have to pay 2 rupee. So now this 1 toffee is worth rupees 2. And now you can say that I have allocated 2 rupees for education. So you see the value of 1 toffee remains same. You can only get 1 toffee when you pay 2 rupees for it. So the last year's 1 rupee and this year 2 rupee are same. The value of that money becomes same because of the increase in inflation. So you can call it that last year I have spent 1 rupee for education. This year we have increased it 2 times and we have done 2 rupees for education. But what he's trying to say is that the value of that money is same. You can call it, you can make it, flatter it also, that we have given 2x times, you can say 2 times for education, but this value remains same. So this is what he's talking about. Few citizens will make the adjustment for inflation. For example, adjusted for inflation, the allocation in the 2022-2023 budget for defense, fertilizers, food, agriculture, energy, health, rural development and urban development were lower than the revised estimates for 2021-2022. So he is talking about the real value of money, and he is talking that these were lower if you take inflation in account. Next comes the government debt managers. And these people love inflation. Why? Because since debt is borrowed and repaid in the current prices, the inflation rate depresses the value of debt. The borrower actually repays less than what he had borrowed. So this is also a simple thing, that the person who has borrowed and who have to repay, they get benefits by the inflation. And this I will explain that. For example, the same example of toffee. For example, you bought one toffee for 1 rupee, and you have taken, just imagine you have bought one toffee 1 rupee in loan. So now next year you have to pay the loan. So what you do, you have one toffee, you have same one toffee, and you can sell it in the market. Now what amount you will get? You have bought it in 1 rupee in loan. For example, one toffee you bought it for 1 rupee, so you have to pay 1 rupee back. Now the next year you sell that toffee in 2 rupees, so you get 2 rupees for that same toffee. You have bought it for 1 rupee, you get 2 rupees. Now what you do, you pay back the loan of 1 rupee and you get 1 rupee extra. So you get the toffee too and also the 1 rupee. So this is very simple. So when debt is borrowed, the borrower get benefit when inflation increases. The borrower actually repays less than what he has borrowed. A process from above. Note that the finance minister said that the inflation was not her red lettered priority concern. So he is now talking about finance minister inflation statement, that she said that inflation was not her red lettered priority concern. So it means that inflation is not the priority for her. Now the next come the sellers. These sellers love inflation. And why? Because MRP is increased significantly, notwithstanding that input cost may have increased only moderately. This is especially so in the case of essential goods. So you have seen that whether they increase MRP or whether they lower the content of that material. So you see, for example, I will take it that for example, you get biscuits of 5 rupees. Just imagine you get 5 rupee biscuit and then inflation is increased, for example, 2 times. So their input that they have allocated for the making of these biscuits may not have increased that time. So what they have to, for example, all the material that was used in the biscuits, it has increased to 2 times its price. So now, for example, the wheat that is used to make the biscuits, the prices have increased 2 times. So what would be the ideal price of that biscuit that it must be if you keep the content of the biscuit same grams? So what will be there? They should have to sell for 10 rupees. You see, all the prices have increased, so they increased for 2 times. So the 5 rupees biscuit must be ideally sold for 10 rupees. But what they do is they sell it for 15 rupees. So this is what they do, and they say because inflation has increased, so we have increased the prices. But what they ideally do is they increase it more than the input cost may have increased. So this is being told by that MRP is increased significantly, notwithstanding the input cost may have increased only moderately. So input cost may have increased 2 times, but they sell it for 3 times its price. But in real cases, because such thing not occur, actually you may have seen that in reality what they do is they lower the content of that same packet of biscuit. So you may have seen the number of pieces are less in the same packet of biscuit because people are not going to buy that for 15 rupees. So what they do, they simply decrease the content. So this is especially so in the cases of goods. For example, milk prices were recently increased sharply across India, both by government run dairies and also private dairies. You cannot lower 1 liter of milk. You can lower the content of a biscuit packet, but not 1 liter. 1 liter of milk remains the same whatever the price it is. So this is being seen that there was an increase in prices of milk by both the government and dairies and private dairies. Now next come the exporters. They love inflation. So whenever inflation occurs, you see the export increases, and also the value of export also increases. For every dollar of the value of export, the exporter will earn more rupees. Of course, in the case of import incentive export, the windfall will be lower. So this I will explain with an example. So for example, just for a consideration, that $1 equals to 70 rupees. So there is a 70 rupees biscuit, for example, 70 rupees biscuit that you sell to a foreign country and you get $1 in the pack. Now inflation has increased to 2 times. So what is the price of that same biscuit? It is 140 in India. So if you sell it in India, you get 140 rupees ideally. But what they do is they sell it for 3 times. They sell it for 210 rupees. So this is the profit that they get, more of 70 rupees. So the price is now 210 rupees. So first when the inflation was not there, they earned $1. Now because of the MRP is 210 rupees, they earn $3. So that is why exporters will earn more rupees, and they will then convert that $3 into rupee. So they will get 210 rupees. So exporters love inflation. Now lenders love inflation. Why lenders love inflation? Because it is an opportunity to raise the interest rate, even if the cost of money has not risen commensurately. So this we have seen that borrowers love inflation because they have to pay less amount of money back, or you can say the amount of money decreases. So I have taken the example of toffee, that you buy toffee for 1 rupee, then the prices of toffee increases. It increases to 2 rupee. You sell it for 2 rupee, you get 2 rupee, then you pay 1 rupee and you get 1 rupee extra. So, and why this is the only condition when inflation rate is same, when you have to pay only 1 rupee. Now what if the lender that have given you the loan say that no, you have taken 1 rupee, but now because the inflation has increased, you have to pay 3 rupees back. What if the inflation rates are increased? So this will not be case. So when inflation rates are increased, borrower will no longer be in the benefit position, lenders will be in the benefit position. So what if we say that you have taken 1 rupee from me, but because inflation has increased and the value of money has decreased, you have to pay 3 rupee back to me. So then lenders will be in the benefit position. Now next comes the business, especially large corporations, duopolies, oligopolies, they love inflation. So you might wonder that what are these duopolies and oligopolies. So first I will explain what are duopolies. So duopolies is a situation in which two companies, so this is, duo means two, in which two companies control all the business in a particular industry. So this is large corporation, then duopolies. You understand duopolies? Two companies that control all the business in a particular industry. And what is the oligopolies? So oligopolies you can think of as a situation in which some small numbers of organization, or you can call some small companies, have a control of an area of business. And why this thing occur, why a small number of organizations or companies love to control an area of business? Because they want others to have no share. So these are duopolies and oligopolies. They love inflation. Why? Because they acquire more pricing power, especially in the case of price insensitive goods and services. So for example, he has given example. If you must fly from Delhi to Chennai tomorrow, you have no choices but to shell out up to 50,000 depending on the class of travel. So this is urgent tickets, you can call. At least you have to spend 50,000 depending on what class of travel you travel. The facility of dynamic pricing has enriched airlines. So there is no fixed pricing. You see, when you book tickets, or you can call tickets of other areas too, not travel just. When you book tickets of such a facility that have dynamic pricing, that enrich airlines, such as lot of Indian airlines. So now he's talking about the example that this facility of dynamic pricing has enriched airlines. They have enriched Uber, Ola, and also state-owned railways. So if you doubt on the assertion, please look at the profit and profit statements of private companies for 2021 and 2022, and that quarterly statement for the current years. So he's talking that because they can shift the prices of tickets to a lot of variety. For example, they can increase it, they can decrease it as well. So their profit increases. So this is clear. When you can change the MRP for whatever price you want, then obviously you can have a good share of profit. Now next come the contractors. So why do contractors love inflation? Because old estimates will be revised, prices overrun will be easily justified, and price bids of new contracts will be increased. So you see, what are the estimates of old? So these old estimates will be revised. The estimations that are done at the past, they will be revised. Price overruns will be easily justified. Why you have increased the price of such a contract? The contractors can easily justify their price overruns. And price bids, bids, this is about taking something when a lot of people are already trying to get something. So you do bids, you give more extra, you can say, money in order to get something which is more precious to you. Price bids of new contracts will also be increased. So that is why contractors love inflations. Now all political parties. He is talking very jokingly about editorial writers love unemployment and inflation. And why such thing? This is interesting, you can say, because if an editorial writer is too lazy to think of any new horse or donkey to flog, he can take an old editorial, or he can take unemployment or inflation and rearrange the paragraph. No one will notice the sleight of hand because no one reads editorial. That is not true. We all read editorials. He is talking jokingly that if any editorial have no content to write on anything, or you can call have no content to write on inflation, he can just take back his old editorial and rearrange the paragraph. No one will notice anything because no one reads editorial. This is obviously a joke. And finally, ruling parties and also opposition parties, they love unemployment and inflation. Why? Because in the hands of opposition, they're useful stick to beat the rulers. So obviously you may have seen that opposition always and must uh, vocalize this problem of inflation, and slogan will be Modi hai to महंगाई hai. So this is a distorted slogan that has been made by opposition. It was actually Modi hai to mumkin hai, but opposition has made it Modi hai to महंगाई hai, and then next is Modi hai to बेरोजगार hai. This ruling party will turn around and say my unemployment and inflation are better than yours. So he's talking that a day may come when everybody will love unemployment and inflation. So obviously he's talking about that as a joke. So we see this editorial was about who loves inflation and who loves employment. So interesting, and also we will move forward